Giants getting set to kick off the 2016 preseason tomorrow night at MetLife Stadium. They're taking on the Miami Dolphins. Brady Farkas, Zach By in for Roger today on Big Board Sports. And we go out to a man who knows everything there is to know about the Giants, our good friend Paul Schwartz of the New York Post. Paul, what's up, my man?
Wait a second. Roger's off today?
Roger's actually
all
off.
week.
How do you tell when Roger's off and when he's working? Is there a discernible difference?
I don't know, but we couldn't tell you that because we wanted to make sure you still came on with us. We didn't know if you'd blow us off because Roger wasn't here.
Actually, that's the reason I am on.
That's what I like to hear.
That's
Paul.
what we like to hear. Paul, so big questions around the Giants heading in to the 2016 season with the preseason opener tomorrow. First things first, is Victor Cruz going to play, or even if he's not, how serious is this groin injury he suffered the other day in camp?
Short answer, no, he is not going to play tomorrow night. This does not seem to be a serious injury. He said he gets a little strained groin pretty much every training camp, the wear and tears of the first week or so of camp, which is all well and good, but as everybody knows, when you cry wolf enough, eventually there's a problem there. Last year, this little calf strain that Victor Cruz had coming off that terrible ruptured patella tendon was not considered a big deal, and it just regressed, and he didn't play the whole year. So, look, it's Victor Cruz. He's a primetime guy. He's a great guy. He was a great player. Until he gets back on the field and is explosive and makes catches in a game and makes those cuts and takes a hit and gets back up, we're all going to be wondering. He won't play this game. The Giants don't practice again till Sunday. Okay, they're have a little bit today, play tomorrow night, off Saturday, and are on the practice field on Sunday. It would be good for everybody if Victor Cruz is on that practice field on Sunday.
Paul, as these preseason games continue to move forward, what are some of the positional battles that we're going to start to see taking shape? Who's competing for spots? Who's competing for starts and snaps? What are some of the positional battles that will start to unfold?
Well, there's a lot of them. Like any team with a big roster and 90 players there, they don't have a lot of marquee situations here, obviously. There's no quarterback situation. I wrote about Ryan Nassib from Syracuse today in the New York Post, and he's obviously the backup quarterback, and he will be the backup quarterback, and he's got an interesting deal because his contract is up at the end of this year, so he's kind of auditioning for the Giants and everybody else. But there are position battles. There's certainly position battles at tight end where you have 3 or 4 guys: Will Tye, Larry Donnell, who's probably safe, a guy like Matt Lacoste, who was on the practice squad last year. He's someone who I could certainly see battling for a spot. Linebacker, there's a bunch of positions. Jasper Brinkley is penciled in as a starting middle linebacker. I would stress penciled. Kelvin Shepard has got some snaps in the training camp at starter. And a guy I really like is a rookie, B.J. Goodson from Clemson. I don't think he will start day one, but I think he's their future starter. In the defensive backfield, it's pretty well set. But Darian Thompson, the third-round pick from Boise, he has been the starting free safety all spring and summer, and that's quite heady stuff for a guy who's a third-round draft pick. So this is his first game. So what the coaches have seen in practice, they want to see translate in a game. He's looked good. Hasn't looked overwhelming, but he's looked good. So I think it would behoove him to play well to keep that starting spot. And one last thing at receiver, there's a bunch of guys. And the Victor Cruz situation is kind of hovering above all this. I mean, do I think Victor Cruz's roster spot is in jeopardy? No, but I would say not yet. I mean, he needs to play at some point. This is not a situation where they can carry him at any kind of taxi squad. Either he's on the team or he's not. So you got guys like Jeremy Davis, Tavares King, Roger Lewis Jr., who's an undrafted guy from Bowling Green, who I think does look quite good. Darius Poe. There's a bunch of guys. Miles White. There's a bunch of guys there, I think, competing for the maybe the 5th and 6th receiver spot.
Paul Schwartz joining us on Big Board Sports. He covers the New York Giants for the New York Post. And Paul, what could you forecast the difference in game? And I know it's hard to tell because we haven't really got started yet, but in game differences between McAdoo and Coughlin.
Well, in game, that's a good question. It's hard. That's why tomorrow night is interesting because it's the first in game. It's the first game in 13 years without Tom Coughlin. I would guarantee you that Ben McAdoo will not be responsible for the music playing tomorrow night. He is responsible for the music that is playing incessantly at training camp. It is, all your listeners who used to go see the Giants practice in Albany, there were no big speakers around the field and no music, and there are speakers around the field and music, sometimes low, sometimes medium, sometimes loud, going on pretty much throughout every aspect of practice. So that's one of the different things. McAdoo is very much feels that he's very much in tune with the new millennial generation. Let's face it, McAdoo's just turned 39. Tom Coughlin later this month turns 70. So there's a tremendous generation gap there. And although Tom Coughlin tried to, and at some point succeeded at, being more in tune with the younger generation, McAdoo is not that far removed from it. Let's face it, he's barely 4 years older than Eli Manning. So, he's done a lot of different things. He shortened up the pace of practice. It sometimes shortened up practice. They move around very quickly. This whole millennials can't concentrate on one thing at a time. So, they have a lot of things going on at once. The other day at practice, there were soccer balls at the end of practice. Guys were practicing picking up and scooping up soccer balls, just all new different things. As far as in the game, I think the most interesting thing will be, will he call the plays or will he let his offensive coordinator, Mike Sullivan, call plays? I think at the end of the day, he will eventually opt to call the plays, but, they may do a little mixing and matching tomorrow night. Other than that, McAdoo has been around. I think, what you see in the game will not look very different than what a Tom Coughlin game has looked like.
Paul, one of the things I'm wondering about the Giants this year is we know about their elite pass game. How are they going to utilize the run game? Are they going to continue to be a fun and gun type team on offense, and we're going to be looking at a lot of OBJ down the field? Are they going to dial it back a little bit and try to get Rashad Jennings, Shane Vereen involved more? How are they going to utilize the run game?
I think under Coughlin, they were always they weren't a run-first team, certainly. We think of Tom Coughlin as his blood and guts coach, but right, he was not a run-it-down-your-throat guy. He was an offensive guy who liked to throw the ball. But they were not, a spread it out all the time and, never run it. But, look, it's the same running backs and it's the same offensive line, pretty much for the most part. It's the same starting five offensive linemen. The only new running back there's a couple of new running backs, but, we'll see if they make the team. A fifth-round pick, Paul Perkins from UCLA, and a small little scat back, Bobby Rainey, who's been in the NFL. I think he has a tall order to make the team. But, Shane Vereen is back. Rashad Jennings is back. Andre Williams, if he makes the team, is back. Orleans Darko, if he makes the team, is back. So, this is not... It's not like they drafted a guy or signed a big-time running back and we say we're going to change the whole offense now. I do think the look of the running game will be different. I talked to Justin Pugh the other day, and the offensive coordinator, Mike Sullivan, mentioned this yesterday, that they did a lot of studying on what they can and they can't do and what they did well last year and what they didn't do well last year. And they said there's no sense, banging our heads against the wall trying to do something we don't think we're suited for. So I think you're going to see a lot of misdirection, a lot of running out of the shotgun, a lot of spread it out and running out of those kind of formations. They feel that the left side of their offensive line is mobile with Eric Flowers. Even though he's big, he can move a little bit. Certainly with Justin Pugh, he can get out and pull. Weston Richburg, they feel is a really, really ascending young center, and they can do things with him. So I think they will try to do a lot of that. I don't think they're going to try to line up and do a lot of ground and pound. We're going to knock you guys off the line of scrimmage. You have to do that sometimes, but I think they're going to change the way the running game looks in order to get better effects.
Paul, we got about 10 seconds left for this answer. If you had one choice, would you rather be front row at New York Giants' a Week 1 game, or would you rather be front row for the Albany Cup first time ever at the Sefke Arena? I know you're a big Albany guy.
The latter, especially in that
Paul.
little place, as opposed to the downtown arena. And what do you mean we got 10 seconds? What about my top 5 Capital District basketball players?
All right, go ahead. Rifle them off, Paul.
Sam Perkins, Pat Riley, Barry Kramer, Jimmer Fredette. I wasn't around for Kevin Herter, so I don't know if you put him over Greg Kubek. I'll let you guys do that one.
I love it. Well, hey, Paul Schwartz, well done. Well done.
Paul, we appreciate the time. Giants open up preseason play with the Dolphins tomorrow. Roger and I are going to be in camp on Wednesday, so maybe we'll catch up with you on Wednesday.
Terrific. See you there.
Look forward to it. Paul Schwartz